Hello, everyone, and welcome to BodyBags. I'll be your reviewer for today. I'm Lonnie from Tats, and it's like no offense, but to the other guys, you guys are slipping. How is it none of you ended up getting to this one before I did? I have to admit I was surprised. Because when I first brought it up to Rob, I wanted to review this movie. I could have sworn somebody else got to it before I did, but yeah, you guys already know which one I'm talking about by the title. By Eli Roth, from last year, 2023, we have Thanksgiving. White meat, dark meat, all will be carved. Thanksgiving. And this year, there will be no leftovers. And this movie is so much fun. Um, I remember, of course, I remember going to see Grindhouse in the theater with my brother, and we watched and we saw the fake trailer. With the fake trailer, back in the day was fantastic. And, just had so much fun with it. And, of course, the other trailers too, Machete, Hobo with a Shotgun, Werewolf Women of the SS, and, Don't. I mean, those trailers were so much fun and they were so well done. And the way I understand it was that at the time when they were given the chance to make the trailers, I think if I remember hearing correctly, the way it happened was that the filmmakers they were in the middle of making movies. Like at the time, Rob Zombie was in the middle of doing his remake of Halloween, and I think Eli Roth was doing Hostel 2 at the time, I believe, and Edgar Wright was doing Hot Fuzz, and I think Robert Rodriguez, well, he was getting ready to do Planet Terror and all that stuff. But if I understand correctly, I think what ended up happening was that they ended up having to that they would give them a little bit of money and they would tack on a couple of days onto their shooting schedules on the movie they were working on, and they would just crank out these trailers at the same time. So that's why it looks like well, wait a minute, when I watch Werewolf Women of the SS, it's amazing how, pretty much like just about the entire cast is everybody from, Rob Zombie's Halloween or, Thanksgiving. It's like, wow, it looks like just about everybody in there is, from Hostel Part 2 and stuff like that because, I think they imported a couple of actors here and there, but mostly it was just, they were just using, the locations and stuff, that they were working on and everything else. But anyway, I digress. I'm getting off. But anyway, so they did the fake trailer and everything else, and the fake trailer is amazing. And if you've seen the movie but you haven't seen the fake trailer, seriously, it's on YouTube and stuff. Go watch it. It's fantastic. But then, finally, years have passed, and supposedly this was a passion project for Eli Roth. He really did want to get this movie made. Excuse me. He was just, working on the script over time and everything. And I hate to say it, but I think, this movie has ended up becoming like a real, like, usually a lot of time when Eli Roth does a movie, a lot of times, like, people don't really like his movies and stuff like this. And a lot of people have always said that it's because of the fact that, here's the thing Eli Roth is a good director, he's just not a good writer. But what ended up happening in this case was that he created the story with his friend and writing partner, Jeff Rendell, and he just did not write the screenplay. He just gave it to Rendell and let Rendell do the writing and stuff like that. And I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people are like, that's probably one of the reasons why this movie turned out as good as it did, because Roth didn't do the script himself. So, but anyway, the story is about the Wright family, and we open on Thanksgiving, obviously, and we have Sheriff Newton, played by Patrick Dempsey. He comes to the Wright family's holiday, and we're introduced to Thomas Wright, who is played by Rick Hoffman, from who is in Hostel, and his family, and their daughter Jessica and her boyfriend Bobby. And it turns out that Jessica and Bobby are going to go with their friends. They're going to go see a movie, but turns out like on their way there, they want to stop, and it's at Jessica's father's store called Right Mart. And so they stop there. They want to go in and do some Black Friday shopping, and it turns out like everybody is like, fighting each other. Everybody's like ready to trample each other to get in and stuff and get their Black Friday shopping done. And I know it used to be that way on Black Friday. I'm not sure if it's like that anymore though. Is it? maybe somebody could tell me because I think nowadays, I think like most people, if they do Black Friday shopping, they mostly just try to get their stuff online. Um, but yeah, I don't think Black Friday shopping is what it used to be anymore. But anyway, so they get into the, they manage to sneak into the store and everything, and then the people outside, see that they're in there and they're getting stuff. So the whole thing just turns into anarchy. It turns into a chaotic bloodbath and stuff. And one of the workers, his wife, played by Gina Gershon, she gets murdered. Not really much of a spoiler there, but Gina Gershon is kind of like, I guess, what you would call, in this case, kind of like the psycho kill. You think she's going to be a main character, but she's literally like killed in the prologue, and but then it's like a year later, and it turns out that someone is in the trailer. It was Jeff Rendell who was Roth's writing partner, and in the trailer, in the original trailer, he was just called the Pilgrim. And this here, they call him John Carver, who it turns out actually is a historical figure. And the whole idea came because Rendell and Eli Roth, they grew up around Plymouth, Massachusetts, and so they were into the whole Thanksgiving thing, and they always wanted to do a Thanksgiving slasher movie. And this was like something that they had been sitting on forever. They always wanted to make this movie, and so it's like a year later, and this person wears a mask of John Carver, is dressed up, basically wearing kind of like a Michael Myers jumpsuit, but got the pilgrim hat and stuff, and decides to take revenge on the people who caused all the chaos and everything at the at the right mark and causing these deaths and things like this, getting revenge. And Jessica and her family realizes that little bit by little bit the killer is working his way towards their family. And then of course it's like a murder mystery and stuff, and it's all about who is the killer and stuff. But the fun part is, and like, a lot of the times a good slasher movie needs a gimmick. And in the case of this, it's all about like, like Thanksgiving eating and fruit preparation and things like this. And, like in one case, we have a death where, someone gets, like what do they call them? Corn pinchers. Gets corn pinchers in the ear. One gets, like, let's see, one gets cut up with an electric carving knife and things like this. It all has to do with the killings have to do with something like around Thanksgiving and eating and stuff like this, which is a really great gimmick for a movie called Thanksgiving. And but of course, it's a murder mystery. It's all about trying to find out who the killer is. And you have Sheriff Noon played by Patrick Dempsey, who, it does kind of feel like, I know a lot of people kind of like liken this movie to kind of like the Scream franchise, and I could kind of get that. And I think because of Patrick Dempsey's casting, that's where part of it comes from. Because with Patrick Dempsey, because he played a detective in Scream 3, and there's talk about maybe the possibility he might come back for Scream 7, stuff like this. So I could kind of get where the whole Scream idea comes from. But in all honesty, like when you watch the movie, personally, I really don't get the Scream reference so much. This movie to me definitely has much more of a feel. I definitely get much more of a My Bloody Valentine feel from it, or maybe like The Prowler or something. I mean, the movie is very much a love letter to the 1980s holiday themed slasher movies. You think about all the stuff, like I said, like My Bloody Valentine or New Year's Evil or Halloween, things like this. The movie is very much in that vein, and it's Silent Night, Deadly Night, stuff like this, Christmas Evil, things like this. And but I mean, I do kind of get the idea, the where they get the idea from the whole thing. But I just don't really get, the first time I saw it, I kind of felt that way. But it's like after watching it two more times, it definitely feels much more. Like I said, it feels much more like in the vibe of like My Bloody Valentine. And of course, like I said, it's a murder mystery. It's all about trying to figure out who the killer is and stuff. And of course, I don't want to give away too much because like I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen the movie. But I will say it's definitely a good movie. You got some really good, inventive, bloody kills and stuff in it. But the problem is, the only thing I think is a problem is if you've seen the old if you've seen the old trailer, the old Grindhouse trailer, this movie definitely does feel like it's toned down. It definitely feels like you know, I don't, like when you listen to the commentary, you hear Roth and Rendell talk about like, well, when we decided to do this, it was like we were going to change it up and, not do it exactly like the trailer, but, it kind of makes me wonder like how much of that was actually like how much of that was the studio like looking at the old trailer. I mean, obviously there's one, the infamous trampoline scene, if you'll notice that from the old Grindhouse trailer, and you notice it doesn't go exactly the way, and like on the commentary they smoothly say like, oh well, we decided we didn't want to just do the exact same thing over again, and so you know we decided to change it up a little bit. It's like, was that really the case, or did the studio come along and say, yeah, there's no way in hell we're doing that. You're gonna have to figure out another way to do that, you know. Um, but it does, that is about the only downside I would say. Is like the movie does feel a little bit tame compared to the old Grindhouse trailer. It feels like, and that's the only problem I have with some of Eli Roth's stuff is, here's a guy who, um, like, especially like Green Inferno is a good example. I mean, here's a guy who's going on and on about he loves the Italian cannibal films and, like Cannibal Holocaust, Cannibal Ferox are two of his all-time favorite movies and stuff like this. So when you're getting ready to watch, Green Inferno, you're sitting there thinking, this movie is going to be so bloody and so gory and, pretty much unwatchable and stuff like that. And then when you watch Green Inferno, it's like, okay, so we have one really violent, bloody kill, and then pretty much all the other kills happen just kind of off screen. And, you don't see the kills, you just see kind of like a little bit of the aftermath of it. And even not that much, And so just kind of like, it's the same thing too, where Roth and, Rendell are going on and on about, this movie is, a throwback to 80s slasher movies. And yeah, there is quite a bit of gore content and the practical effects are great, and stuff. But it just does still kind of feel like there's a little something, like it should have been just a teeny bit more, Just feel like it should have been a little bit more to it. Definitely the sleazy element is definitely gone. I mean, there, a tiny bit of it, but not compared to like the Grindhouse trailer. I mean, the Grindhouse trailer is sleazy as hell. But I do remember reading an article though where they talked about Roth's idea was, here's what we're going to do with the movie. With the movie, we're going to, the idea is like, kind of like the idea is like the original trailer was, you know, the idea behind it. We're going to kind of create this kind of story, this kind of myth around it. That the original Grindhouse trailer was like a trailer for this movie that was so obscene and so sleazy and vile and everything else. And this movie has been, you know, this movie has been banned worldwide, and this movie was, you couldn't find it for so long and everything else. But like over time, the movie resurfaced and everything. And this movie here is meant to be kind of Hollywood doing kind of a remake of it, but toning some things down and kind of changing a couple of things, kind of saying like that's kind of the idea that he had behind it. But I just will say it's just kind of like there are a couple of things kind of like this could have been a little bit, just a little bit more. But still, the movie is a lot of fun, and like I said, the first time I watched it, kind of like, but the more I watch it, the more I really enjoy it, and Roth did a great job with this movie. This is easily, now, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. When it comes to Eli Roth movies, I cannot stand Cabin Fever. I'm sorry, just to me, that movie is terrible. I don't like it. I never did like it. I know that's blasphemy to some people, but just there is something about Cabin Fever. I never liked that movie. Hostel 1 and 2, love those movies. Green Inferno, I enjoyed, could have been better, but, knock, knock, But, but still, I think this is easily his best work. And, I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad that we got a sequel coming, everything else. I am disappointed that, that we didn't get we didn't get a 4K or any of that kind of stuff, which we'll probably get when the sequel comes out. That being said, though, there is one last thing I want to say before I sign this off. if there is, if somebody asks me, now the acting in this movie is really good. I don't really see any weak links in the acting. All of the performers do good. Hell, they even got one who was like what was it, like a YouTuber? Addison Ray, she's only like a YouTuber, just like social media and stuff. And she, told Eli Roth she really wanted to do this and everything else. And honestly, she's genuinely good in here. She's a genuinely good actress. You know, everybody in this movie does a great job. Patrick Dempsey, they talked about like he really wanted to do this movie because, he always, Patrick Dempsey's always somebody who was always kind of cast as like a romantic lead. And this was, a chance for him to do something different. So he loved it. But if somebody asked me, hands down, like who do I think gave the best performance in this movie? I wouldn't even have to think about it. Like no, wouldn't even have to. Like if somebody said, who do you think did the best job acting wise in this movie? Karen Cliche, without a doubt. Because I think the scene, and I think it is easily one of Roth's most well directed, most just great horror scenes I've seen in a long time. Is just so expertly done. It's like a great horror film scene. And it's the scene where Karen Cliche's character, Kathleen, she gets abducted by John Carver, and he's about ready to. He's preparing her. He's going to put her in this huge oven and bake her and cook her alive, and stuff like this. And so of course she's trying to, she wakes up and she's trying to sneak out and get away from him and stuff like this. And it's like just the level of terror and hysteria that she reaches. It's not over the top. It's not, it's not ridiculous or any of that kind of stuff. I personally feel like when I'm watching that scene with her in it, I genuinely feel like she is selling it, man. You genuinely for a moment believe this is happening to her. She's not acting. This is going to, she is going to die. And it's like the way she plays it. And like I said, the levels of terror and hysteria that she reaches, like right now, everybody's pissing and whining because Margot Robbie didn't get nominated for Barbie. I want to piss and whine that Karen Cliche didn't get nominated Best Supporting Actress for this movie. I think her acting is absolutely top notch. But anyway, so yes, Thanksgiving. Overall, it's a really good movie. I do recommend it. And I could definitely see this becoming a yearly watch. And I hope that, the sequels will definitely match up and everything goes well. And this hopefully will be the beginning of a new horror franchise with a new horror. We can have a new horror icon in John Carver and stuff like this. And oh my gosh, I'm really, really hoping this takes off and does well. It's like we have Halloween, Friday the 13th, all that kind of Nightmare on Elm Street and everything. I'm all for let's make Thanksgiving into a horror franchise. So anyway, so that's it. And I think that's gone on long enough. But anyway, oh man. So that's it. So if anybody took the time to watch all of this, I thank you for doing it. And I appreciate you for doing it. I honestly hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, could you please leave it a like? If you haven't already, please subscribe to the BodyBags channel. We have a different reviewer, one for every day of the week. I am the Saturday reviewer. And yeah, I'm just really, really happy to be part of this team. I say it all the time. And that's it. So take care, everybody. Have a good night, and I'll see you all later.